Hello Lab, this is my first screen share. I've never really done this before, but let's see how it goes. I am working on our WordPress and writing a protocol for our WordPress, and I thought it'd actually be good to do a few 5-minute walkthroughs of what I've put in this protocol, just to demonstrate a few kind of key things that have really accelerated this whole process for me. In particular, there's this plugin called Page Builder that I think I'll start off with here. So why don't I just jump into the back end of the WordPress, which you'll see here. I'm going to get rid of this thing. It's kind of irritating. If you know anything about WordPress, this is the sort of dashboard where you go to do any work on the site. So I'm just going to jump into pages, and I think it'd be worth our time to try to duplicate one of the pages I've made using this plugin, Page Builder, that I was talking about. So why don't we try to go ahead and do that? I believe it would be better to actually start a new page from a copy of a previous page rather than from scratch. So if I wanted to do a new page from scratch, I would click Add New, and it would bring up a completely empty page, which is occasionally a good thing, but considering there are some formatting rules and a few other elements that are already built into my other pages that I want to keep in my new page, I might as well just start from one of them, from my copy of one of them, I should say. So I'm going to choose our data page, which really just has a header, some text, and a footer, and I'm going to clone it. This is another plugin. It's called, let me think. So, it's called Posts. It's called Duplicate Posts. I'll make a list of plugins for people to grab that are really neat. This button wouldn't be here had I not installed that plugin, so it's a nice tool to be able to just copy a page or copy a post. So I'm going to click Clone, and this will pull up a draft of the data page that was already made. I'm going to go right into editing this draft. And right off the bat, you can more or less see that this is a completely different view than you're normally used to in WordPress. This is really Page Builder right here. The editor that you're used to, which is sort of a cursor where you're meant to enter text and code, is a lot different than this. So you might imagine that there's just kind of some visual scaffolding, as I called it in the written protocol, that allows you to sort of orient. I almost said ornament, but I don't think we're doing much decorating here. It allows you to orient your content sort of vertically in rows and then horizontally in columns. It's really nice. This has been a huge boon for me in terms of building out pages quickly and such. So let's see. I might as well do a quick rundown of the hierarchy of Page Builder. So what happens is, first you have rows, which are obviously these horizontal bars. And within those rows live columns. This row happens to have one column. This row happens to have 3 columns. Within each column are a set of widgets. So these are the white boxes. One is called Visual Editor here. Another is called Search. And that's your hierarchy. And maybe we can just take a quick preview of what that looks like on the website itself. So here is the header photo. That's actually the top row. So what I've done is added a 450 pixel height photograph. Excuse me. Below it is the body of text, which is our data text. That lives in this visual editor widget. And the things abutting that editor are just spacers I've added to give some room between the text and the edge of the website. And then below that, this row is actually just a little bit of gray space I've added to, again, just create a little buffer space there. Otherwise, the text, I think, would just be more or less right on top of my footer. And then the last row is the footer that I carried over here. So you can sort of see the orientation. I mean, this visual editor contains the first address. The second one contains the Cambridge address, and then you have this third row that contains the search bar. And this is a good example of why it's good practice to copy a previous page, because I really would have had to make all of this footer from scratch, um, and a few other things that I can point out along the way. So I think it'd be let's see, why don't we try to duplicate this or remake this body of text. So what I can do is go into, oh, I didn't want to show you that yet. Sorry. It might be worth pointing out that it's a little ambiguous. Sometimes you have to edit a row, sometimes you have to edit a column, but we can get to that. You sort of get used to it. I made a bit of a mistake there. Anyway, what I really want to do is grab all of this text from the visual editor widget that contains it, which is this middle column as I've described. And I'm going to go in, edit, and you can see this is starting to look more like a WordPress thing. So I'm actually just going to copy all of this content and close it out, and I'm going to delete this row. And just to prove that I've deleted the row, let's preview and see how that went. So here we have kind of an empty page. I have a header and a footer, and that's really it. So I'll walk you through Page Builder by recreating that body of text. So like I said, the first thing you want to do is make a row, and it brings up this nice menu of how many columns you'd like to split your row into. It has a few golden ratio type templates. I actually would rather not use those right now because I know I want 3 columns and I want some margin of space on either side. So these columns split the width of your website into a total of 100%. I'm going to insert that. And it looks like that row was just added right at the bottom of my page. I don't want it there. I actually want it right under my header. So you can grab this button and start sliding it around. Inside of this first or this middle column, I want to then add a widget. And this brings up a really nice tool set of widgets you can use to add all types of content to your WordPress. Some are stock that came with WordPress itself, and then others I've installed through that Page Builder plugin. All of the third-party ones are labeled with this blue gear, but it's a really nice way to potentially avoid any difficult coding tasks that you might think of that might come with, say, embedding a Google map into your page. That there's actually a tool for that, so you can jump into this plugin or widget, I should say, and it brings up a very convenient menu of how to add an address and size your Google map and all of that good stuff. So it's worth exploring this whole menu and really just kind of getting into each of these widgets to see what the potential is with all of them. I mean, I actually just landed my mouse on the RSS feed widget, which is really cool. It allows you to embed any sort of favorite blog or Twitter feed that you really like right into your website. Really cool stuff. I'm just going to keep going here. Like I said, we're just adding text. And anytime you're adding innocuous content like text or a photo, you want to use the visual editor. Really, anytime you're in doubt about what widget to use, it's probably good practice to just use the visual editor. So that widget just gets dropped right into the column, and I'm gonna edit this, and I'm actually just gonna paste the content in for the sake of getting through this tutorial in a reasonable time. I'm gonna click done. One technicality with these columns is that they need to contain widgets in order to sort of be active. So what I want to do is put some content inside of them. So I'm going to add a widget, I'm going to go to my visual editor, and I'm going to edit that visual editor. And all I want to do is really just put basically nothing in them, and the closest thing to nothing is a spacer. I've added this plugin. This is kind of nice for actually creating the vertical heights I was describing. So we can get into that later, though. I'm going to keep going. Since I know that I want the same thing on the right as I do the left, I'm going to just duplicate this widget and drag it over, just to give you an idea of really how drag and drop friendly the whole page builder system is. I think I've done this correctly. I might edit one thing. If you go back into editing your row and you go to layout, I'm going to put this at full width. I think this is kind of one technicality I've gotten hung up on, and I think it's just good practice to keep things at full width. And I'm going to, let's see, I might preview this. Let's see how this looks. There's our text, and it looks like the space was added accordingly. And say I don't quite like that amount of space, I actually want more. I'm going to exaggerate this just to demonstrate how you can slide these spacers. I notice this is not working live. That's unfortunate. I actually might save this, and I might go back to my pages and see if I can't reload it. So if I go here, preview this again. Right, so it actually, not quite sure if this is where, hang on one second, excuse me. I'm going to just scrunch it dramatically to see if I can notice something here. Still not working, that's fun. What if I hit publish? And what if I go to reloading that page? Okay. So I'm not sure what happened there. I clicked the preview changes and it did not, was not friendly enough for me to cooperate. I will have to work on this. I'm not too sure. This is a new artifact. I will have to get back. But I hope that gives you a sense of the page builder. I might pick this up on another tutorial, and in the meantime, I will work on why that preview changes was not cooperating, and I will get back to you soon.